What is up, everybody? It is Hobbs here with you. We are doing our cult horror exploitation series. And today, we are going to be reviewing the 1976 Martin Scorsese film, you know it, Taxi Driver. Featuring Martin Scorsese, Robert Deniro, Jodie Foster, Harvey Keitel, just some notables, and many more in the film. It is approximately 141 minutes long. That is the disc itself. That is the back here. Sorry about the glare. This is a 2-disc collector's edition. The 40th anniversary, you get a whole disc full of features for this film. Now, I acquired this film from Hamilton Book for about $5 shipped. And I highly recommend, if it's still available, going and checking it out and see if it's there. I'm not entirely sure if it's out of print, this particular version, or not. It has been a while. But let me share my thoughts on this film, Taxi Driver. So what you have here is you have Robert De Niro, the main focal character, coming back from the Vietnam War. And he is trying to establish some roots, get his life on track. You know, post-civilian style life, trying to kind of get a job, meet people, and kind of get things going, you know. And he's a bit socially awkward, so he doesn't really have that going for him. He appears almost to be almost lonely in a way. So he applies for this job to be a taxi driver. And he primarily does it at night, the night shift. He says, give me all the hours you can. I'll work graveyard, whatever you can do. Just give me the hours. I need the money. And I think he does the night shift also because he's kind of lonely. And so he starts, driving these taxis and things. He starts to meet people. And he's starting to realize this city is corrupt. There's things going on here that I'm seeing in these cabs that are just not right. So he takes a little bit of a backseat to it for a while, and he meets a girl. And he meets a girl who happens to work for the government. And she works as like one of the secretaries for a gentleman that is running president. And she is trying to convince people to vote for him and whatnot. So they have conversation, and he meets her one day, and he's madly obsessed with her. And then decides that he wants to pursue her. Well, one of his hobbies that he does is he goes and he watches adult films at the theater. Now, it may not be perverse, it might just be something that he does. So, after they've had some great conversation, they've gone out, they've had some dinner and stuff, he invites her for a second date and invites her to go watch an adult film with him at the theater. Now, depending on who the woman is during this time or in general, she is a bit put off by it and felt a little bit creeped out by the character and decides that she wants to kind of call it off. So that really starts to mess with him a little bit as he's driving back and forth to the place where she works, and he's slightly obsessed and finally ends up learning to forgive about it and try to move on. And he starts getting more and more pissed off at the world as he's starting to see more and more corruption happen. And then he meets a prostitute, a young Jodie Foster, who he's falling in love with her for a different way. I don't think it's in a relationship way, but more like a relative, like a daughter-son type way. And he buys a night with her because she's a prostitute, and he doesn't sleep with her or anything. He just wants to talk to her. So he tries to help her, and you can't really tell if there's anything emotionally involved with her if he wants to marry her or whatnot. Because I believe he's still into the other girl. So essentially, what happens is he gets involved with her, and there's issues with the pimp, who is her pimp, played by Harvey Keitel, who was hysterical, in my opinion, as a pimp. But the premise of the film is he decides to take matters into his own hands with the corruption of the world, and there's violence, and there is illegal activity left and right, and he wants to do something about it. And things sort of not go his way along the way, and he just says, I'm over it, I'm losing it, and I'm going to do things and take care of things my own way, including government corruption, prostitution, things that are illegal. Just wants to make things better, or just to say, fuck it, I'm done with life, and I'm going to go raise some hell. This film is absolutely phenomenal. The transfer on the Blu-ray, by the way, is absolutely stunning. This film is a play on mental health, post-war depression. Depicts people when they're extremely lonely and the vulnerability they are and how they can act in situations. Robert Deniro, this might be one of his best performances, in my opinion. He only got paid $35,000 for the role, which wasn't what he was expecting to get, but he said, you know what, let's finish the film, I'll go and take the pay. He worked as a taxi driver at night to learn how to be a taxi driver for the film. Now that is dedication. I loved the character development in this film. Man, the characters were fantastic. And I loved the mental play. This is a movie that sits with you for a very long time after you've watched it. You think about it a lot. The violence was good. The last 20-minute sequence of the film was spectacular. There are things that happen. I don't want to go into too many details, but highly, highly recommended. I cannot recommend Taxi Driver enough. If you're a fan of crime movies or movies with just Robert Deniro in general, you're going to love this. In fact, one little snippet here, there was a trash strike in this movie and people's garbage was not being picked up, so all the garbage you see in the film is real and legit, and it just adds to the grime of the film. This is a classic Martin Scorsese film. Go check out Taxi Driver, guys. Enjoy the Super Bowl tonight. See you on the midnight hour. This is Hobbs. Let me know your thoughts on Taxi Driver.